It's Fighter Friday, and what could be better than talking about the Gripen on road bases? My name is Max Villman. I'm a former fighter pilot in the Swedish Air Force on the Gripen, and it's time to let's go. And this clip we are going to watch is from Saab's YouTube channel, so go over to Saab's YouTube channel and subscribe there and watch the full video without my commentary if you want to. There's a lot of good videos there, and so big thanks for Saab for letting us react to this whole clip. But let's go. Sound of freedom.
From the outset, Gripen has been designed to execute operations in harsh environments and from dispersed air bases.
Yeah, so this is obviously why the Ukrainians are so interested in the Gripen. The Gripen can operate from very, very small footprint bases. You don't need a big NATO facility or a big old Soviet air base. You can use road bases, you can use civilian air bases, you can use small air bases, and you can have technicians and equipment with you at all times. So it's a very, very good fighter in that sense that you can operate from dispersed bases. The NATO tactic has historically been to build hardened shelters and also to have big air bases protected by SAM systems, while Sweden instead opted to do the dispersed route. So we have a number of military air bases that are not as big as NATO or Soviet air bases or Russian air bases for that matter. Instead they are quite smaller, but all of them have reserve bases, side bases with start and landing strips on highways, etc., and we can use civilian bases. So we have much more places that we can be, and in that sense it's very, very difficult for the enemy to know where we are, where we will start, and how to suppress us.
The key to operational effect is to get fighters airborne when needed. That's why Gripen is designed to make sure that availability is maximized at all times. Gripen can operate from a road strip of only 16 by 800 meters.
Yeah, so that's what we were talking about just now. So 16 by 800 meters. The typical fighter airbase is at least 2,000 meters long, at least, and at least 25 meters wide, if not 45 meters. So this is a very, very small footprint, and of course you can have several of these, or it also makes so that if you have a normal base and you get a hit in the middle of it, you still can start and land on each side of that hit. So it gives you much flexibility, because the key when it comes to air warfare is to get fighters in the air at the right time, which they talked about in this clip. And I think many people forget that at times. They look at pilots, they look at the flashy airplanes, the fighter jets, but they don't see the big picture, and the big picture is that you need a runway, you need someone to operate that runway, you need air traffic control, you need GCI, ground control intercept, you need radars, you need technicians, you need security forces, you need medical, you need food, you need, the list goes on. Armament, of course, and fuel. So there's a lot going on to get the fighters airborne, because the fighters, once they're airborne, they don't have that long of a play time, so they need to land somewhere and get fuel again, and so on and so forth. So it takes a lot of people, a lot of equipment, a lot of training, a lot of tactics for this whole system to work.
This means the fighter can be deployed from extremely
That's
short
the Cannon
or
27
battle-damaged runways,
millimeter Mauser,
taxiways, small civil airfields, or even highways. Gripen has been designed for minimum turn.
This is a RB101, which is the Swedish name for the Meteor missile.
Turnaround time. For example,
and here you see two AMRAAMS. Sweden originally we still have the C-5 variant, but so it's an older AMRAAM missile. They look quite the same as the new ones, but it's quite much older than the newest ones. And it was just decided by the government and together with the United States that Sweden will sell all of its C-5 AMRAAMS back to the United States, and the United States will in turn give them to the Ukraine. So they will receive combat operations in Ukraine with these missiles that we currently have, and instead Sweden are buying a big bunch of the newer C-8 variant. So I think this is a very, very good trade, so to speak, upgrade for Sweden, and it will also help Ukraine in their war against Russia, in defending against the Russian aggression. So it's a win-win. In this frame you also see the small rod here, which is a winch. So what you do is that you have missiles, bombs, whatever you were trying to load to the airplane, loaded on these carts. It's quite difficult to see here, but in the lower part of the picture you can see almost a sort of cart. So the missiles are loaded there. You roll them in underneath the wings. Then you attach this rod to points in everywhere where you can hang weapons. And then you winch up these missiles into and attach them and lock them in place. So it's a quite small footprint thing. It takes not so much time. You don't need so much people. They don't need to carry the missiles, so there's another big risk of injury. So it's a very, very good system, and it makes it so that turnaround and armament of the Gripen can be done very, very fastly. And you can even use conscript like we do in Sweden. So you have one seasoned, experienced technician, and then he can be overseeing several conscripts that don't require so long training.
An air-to-air combat setup, including refueling and rearming, is done in less than 10
There was the Meteor again.
minutes. Using only one
Iris-T.
technician and 5 conscript mechanics, equipped with efficient and smart tools and equipment. All Gripen
So I want to stop here as well. So obviously this is not the road base, the landing or the starting strip of the road base. So this is just a normal road here. But further along, it's difficult to see. It's it's a kilometer away or something like that. So you see how the road widens, and then you get these 16 meters wide, and then you have at least 800 meters length. So the Gripen here that is in the picture, loaded with AMRAAM and Iris-T missile, and also a drop tank. It can taxi out by itself, so no boogieing or anything like that. So it taxis out by itself and then takes off just straight away. So it's a very, very quick process. And when they land again, they land and then taxi into one of these pockets here, just spin around by themselves, and then the technicians can park their cars. You see here, technician cars with equipment. Also, they can have missiles on board here. Here's a truck with what seems like a missile box here. So it's a very, very small footprint system. You can use, like we said, road bases. Fuel obviously needs to come from somewhere. Here we have a fuel truck parked. So, but that it's easy to move the fuel truck. It's easy to move the technicians back and forth. And you see the Gripen here is a quite small aircraft with a quite small footprint. So obviously here you could fit several Gripens or even perhaps a small transport plane or whatever. So you don't need much space. But of course you need security for this, which is it's a high value target. So against special forces, you need security against that, Rangers, Air Force Rangers, and so on and so forth. But it gives you a big, like a big overview picture of how small these kinds of operations can be. And because of this, it is very, very difficult for the enemy to know where we are. It's very, very difficult for them to suppress us. I mean, this aircraft here could be in any of these pockets. So they require really, really good, very, very high resolution intelligence to be able to destroy us on ground. So it's very, very difficult for the enemy.
equipment for maintenance and turnaround at squadron level are deployable for
Fire
operations
truck.
at temporary air bases.
That's the Swedish anti-ship missile here, robot RBS 15. A Meteor RB101, which is a very long air-to-air missile. The Gripen taxiing away here, it has a drop tank and it has also a targeting pod, Lightning 3. And you see the operations are very, very close to each other, and all our tactics and training is done so that we can operate so near to each other without risking hurting each other. So it's very, very, very efficient. Here we have some countermeasures that can be loaded in the back end of this one. So yeah.
The equipment needed fits in a single standard 20-foot container.
You see how we
Gripen fighters can be airborne right after the scramble signal, requiring only engine start and final automatic startup tests.
Yeah, so big shout out to Saab for helping us with this video, letting us use it. So if you come to the end, please give me a solid, it doesn't cost you anything, give me a like at the video, give me a subscription also to the channel. That helps a lot with the algorithms in YouTube. And if you like this, you can also support me with buying me a coffee on Ko-Fi. The link is here below in the description. You have my social media linked here if you want to follow me. I talk a lot about these kind of things there as well. But thank you so much for staying until end, and of course until next time, fly safe.